So the biggest reason why people don't continue a hobby or making YouTube videos is basically continuity, accountability, and for the lack of a better word, endurance. You see, when people start, they are always very enthusiastic to start a new hobby. Take the gym, for example. In January, after Christmas, everyone is kind of running to the gym or to the dojo, whatever it might be, to kind of think, oh, I'm going to start this year anew, a better person, and I'm starting working out. Or when it's about a hobby, people start so why is that word so hard? Enthusiastically thinking, oh, I'm going to learn whatever, this instrument. And then they research all of the stuff, they buy a guitar or whatever, they start, and then for some reason they stop. And that's basically the same with YouTube as well. People start a YouTube channel, they want to kind of create content, they are so excited about making videos with that new camera and they have these ideas, and then for some reason it kind of flows a little bit down. Is that the right word? They stop making content for some reason. They don't have any ideas, or they aren't as enthusiastic or fired up anymore with that content, and then they suddenly stops, and that is such a big shame. And I do see that sometimes with myself as well. I mean, my podcast, for example, I'm on a hiatus. To be fair to myself, I have been doing that for 2 to 3 years. Every week, yeah. I've done a podcast episode every week. And at some points, I just didn't feel like it. And that's obviously a huge shame. Your content is amazing. And why wouldn't you continue, right? And that is basically where endurance and not necessarily accountability, but continuity comes into play. And that is basically what I wanted to talk about, because I see that in so many creators, but also, as I said, in the gym, or in my case, in the Muay Thai gym, where people started out with good ideas and they were fired up, and at some point that fire just went away for some reason. Yeah, and that's basically what I kind of wanted to talk about with all of this YouTube thing. I'm always kind of recommending to put in the reps, to continue making these videos in a regular basis, and that is where continuity but also accountability comes into play. The more you do it, the more it kind of ingrains itself into your daily life, and not only will you become better at that task, but more importantly, you put it, or it is just like eating breakfast, eating lunch, or whatever it might be. It becomes part of your life. It becomes a daily habit or a weekly habit or whatever it might be. And therefore, you will become not only better, but it will be easier to just do it. And that holds true for basically everything. Going to the gym, making content, learning a new hobby, or whatever it might be. So the question now is, how do you solve continuity, accountability, and what I've said, again, for the lack of a better word, endurance? As I said, this holds true for so many things in your life, be it a new hobby, like going to the gym, YouTube, creating content, or daily chores or weekly chores that you have to do. And that is actually a good segue. I mentioned this in one of my previous vlogs about tasks. Sometimes we get overwhelmed with too many tasks, and therefore it is so important, at least in my humble opinion, to kind of break down those tasks into smaller chunks to make them much more, in air quotes, easily digestible or easily more doable. And the same holds true with hobbies, working out, or YouTube in this case. For example, with going to the gym. Yes, of course, if you think you need to go to the gym and you need to work out at least an hour, and you have to do these really big workout things. That is going to be very like in your way, in your brain, right? So for example, I started working out daily. I told myself, okay, I'm just going to do 10 push-ups. Did that for 2 weeks, 10 push-ups, not more. And although you could argue that's not really beneficial in terms of fitness because you're not kind of burning calories or whatever, I started kind of putting this small little grain into my head by doing a very small task, but doing it repeatedly. And that kind of laid the foundation to doing daily working out. And I built up on that foundation. Then I added sit-ups, and then I did this and that. And now I'm doing jump ropes, kettlebell training every single morning for 20 minutes. And that's the same with YouTube. If you are starting out with YouTube, it is very important to kind of reduce the workload if you realize, oh, I'm struggling to start, or when you already have started, I'm struggling to continue. That is the endurance part. I see so many people starting a YouTube channel and then for some reason they stop. And for me, doing these daily vlogs, it has very much ingrained into me, okay, I'm just going to do it daily, no matter if I'm doing a lot of work into it or if I'm just doing a one-take vlog. So reducing the workload is one of the solutions for basically everything. If you notice that, oh, I'm struggling to do this regularly, reduce it. In the gym, say, okay, I'm just going there for 20 minutes or 15 minutes, because then you kind of won't tell yourself, oh, I don't have time. I need to drive there for 15 minutes or half an hour, whatever. And then I need to work out there for an hour. So it takes up 2 hours in total, and therefore I'm not going. Reduce the amounts that kind of block you to do that. The same holds true with YouTube. If you think, oh, this is just way too much for me to do, I don't know if I can do this. As I always say, to start, do it as simple as possible. Don't think about the camera, don't think about editing, just start, do a one-take vlog, upload, done. But your goal is to put in the reps, to keep continuity and accountability, and more importantly, endurance, because most, as I said, people kind of stop after a couple of videos. And you don't want that to happen. You really want, or I recommend, to kind of have a goal. This should be a part of my life. And I'm not saying just about YouTube. With all of the things that you just want to start, it is so important not to see the goal, but to kind of think about, this has to be, or I want this to be part of my life. And it only becomes part of your life if you simplify it and therefore are able to do this one specific thing regularly. No matter how small it might be. It's the same thing with cleaning up. If you tell yourself, oh, I need to clean the whole house. Yes, that's going to be very overwhelming. But if you tell yourself, okay, every evening I'm just going to clean up, I don't know, the desk, your work desk, or I'm just going to I bring out the trash every single day, although it might not be full, then it is much more easier to kind of incorporate it into your daily life, and it just becomes, yeah, second nature basically. And having this one thing being ingrained in your daily life will ensure that you will do it continuously for a long time, and therefore obviously you get proficient in that task or in that hobby or what it might be, and slowly you build up on top of that foundation that you built over time. And yeah, I think that is such a big deal, to not overwhelm yourself with the amount of what you want to do. And again, going back to me, I was overwhelmed with my podcast, which is why I put it on hiatus, because I told myself I need to do it weekly. And more importantly, I had guests on that podcast, and I always felt bad because I'm in Germany and all of those people are in completely different time zones. So I would say 9 out of 10 guests took time in their early mornings on a weekend and talked to me for an hour. And I always felt bad that those podcasts didn't, or the guests didn't get as much attention as I would have liked, because the views and the listens on those podcasts were fairly low, all considered. And that felt really bad for me personally, because I felt like a little bit guilty that people weren't listening to that podcast, although those guests took a lot of time out of their life. So I'm now thinking, okay, I want to continue that podcast, but maybe I'm only doing it now once per month or something like that. Again, reducing the workload, but having it be done regularly. That is so important. As I said, I've done that once a week for 2 to 3 years. This daily vlog I'm doing daily, but I try to reduce the workload. Sometimes, as you were able to tell, I do one-take vlogs, and that takes a huge workload off of my shoulders, which helps me to keep continuing these regularly. And this basically has become part of my life. And yeah, that's basically where I want to end this. I really would love if those of you who I can inspire to start a YouTube channel to kind of think about this in a very simplified way. Just start making these videos. As I said, one-take vlogs are a very valid solution to this problem if you don't know how to start, because you don't know how to edit, you don't know what camera to use. Just use your phone, push record, start talking, then quit. Stop recording, upload it. Again, I always tell this, not many people will watch in the beginning anyway, so you can make mistakes, you can experiment, and your goal is to do this as much as possible in a repetitive, easy way, so you can do this over a long time to kind of get better at talking in front of the camera. And more importantly, sometimes you just don't know what to talk about. If you just switch it on, treat it as if you were talking to a buddy, and then hopefully over time, whatever you want to talk about will start flowing. And try to start as easy as possible. Do it as easy as possible, so you can do it in a repetitive, continuous, long way, so it becomes second nature, a daily habit. All right, so that was my vlog about continuity or doing something continuous, accountability to yourself, that you think, oh, I want and I need to do this, and more importantly, endurance in terms of doing this over a long period of time. I hope this was helpful. Maybe check out the vlog about how to start simple by watching the video up here. YouTube thinks that you like the video down here. Don't forget to like, hype, and hopefully also subscribing, so we see each other tomorrow as well by clicking the button up here. Then I will see you tomorrow. Thank you very much.